She delivers the finishing blow. He wakes up in a cave, where the goblin elder Gabu names him Rue and gives him something to eat. He realizes that he has been reborn as a goblin, so he cries because he isn't happy with his current form. 3 days later, his body matures as he realizes that goblins grow faster than humans, and Gabu gives the children food, but he explains that this is going to be the last time because they need to learn how to hunt. Rue leaves the cave, and he starts exploring the outside world, realizing that it's filled with strange creatures, so he thinks it's different from the world he used to live in. He meets a goblin named Kichi, and they decide to work together, so they start hunting for food, and they see a horned rabbit. Kichi chases after it, as Rue sets up an ambush, and kills it in one hit. Kichi is about to eat it for himself, but Rue beats him up, saying they're supposed to share. Rue takes the rabbit's horn, wondering if it will make a good weapon, but he suddenly sees a notification, so he becomes confused, wondering what just happened. They eat the rabbit, and they continue hunting together, using the same tactic to catch their prey. He takes another horn, and the same message appears, but he still doesn't understand what's happening. As they eat the rabbit, the system tells Rue that he has learned the escape ability, so he realizes that he still has his absorption ability from his past life. It's considered to be extremely rare, and it allows him to learn the abilities of the creature he consumes. He notes that he no longer has the other abilities from his past life, but he thinks absorption is all he needs because he can consume the monsters in the area to get stronger. They return to the cave, where they meet a girl named Mio, who thinks they're amazing because they were able to hunt horned rabbits. Rue thinks they're pathetic, but she reveals that they have killed goblins before, and she takes a liking to him. He invites her to join them for tomorrow's hunt, and she agrees to this, but the next day, it starts raining, so they decide to postpone the hunt. Rue enters their storage area, where he realizes that they have been using human girls to procreate, but he ignores them, and he takes an ore, using it to forge a weapon. Gabu approaches him, thinking he's going to level up faster than expected, but he doesn't understand, so Gabu tells him to tap his head. He follows Gabu's instructions, and he realizes that Gabu is level 86. He reveals that when goblins reach level 100, they evolve into hobgoblins, but few are capable of achieving this, because they age faster than humans, so they end up dying before they reach that level. The next day, Rue's party goes on a hunt, and they're able to defeat monsters with their excellent teamwork. They start eating a snake, and Rue learns its abilities, thinking they're going to be useful. Kichi finds it delicious, and he wonders if they can eat the head, but Rue explains that it's poisonous, so they're going to die if they eat it. They continue hunting for days, and they eventually reach a cave, but a swarm of bats attack them. So Kichi uses his shield to defend, as Rue uses his Evil Eye skill, stunning the bats in an instant, and he uses this opportunity to slaughter them. Rue's party eats the bats, and he obtains a new set of abilities, but we see a group of hungry goblins watching them. One evening, we see the group surrounding him as he sleeps, but his search ability activates, allowing him to sense the danger. So he beats them up, but he accidentally stabs one of them, and he collapses because Rue's weapon is laced with poison. He explains that it was an accident, saying he still can't control his abilities, so they become frightened, and Mio realizes they tried to kill Rue, so she strangles one of them. We see an orc walking in the woods when Rue's party attacks him. Mio throws a stone, and it ends up breaking his finger as Kichi crushes his leg, causing him to fall. Rue finishes him off, and they eat his body, as Rue obtains new abilities, but he knows that his companions have had their fill, so he suggests bringing food to the other goblins. They decide to follow his plan, and everyone thanks him for the food, as they start eating up, but Rue wonders why he's doing this, because he used to be a selfish person. That evening, we see everyone sleeping in the cave, when the system suddenly disturbs Rue, asking him if he wants to evolve. But he doesn't bother reading it, because he just wants to go back to sleep, so he selects yes, and doesn't think much of it. The next day, he notices that his body has changed, and he checks his reflection, realizing that he almost looks identical to his past self. We see that Kichi has also transformed, so he becomes surprised, and Mio thinks they look amazing. Gabu can't believe they've ranked up, because they're only 2 weeks old, but Kichi wants to test his strength, so he tells Rue to fight him. Rue accepts his challenge, and they start fighting in the woods. Kichi manages to land a hit, and he's about to end the fight, but Rue counters, knocking him down. He admits defeat, saying Rue is too strong for him, but Rue tells him he's stronger, saying he was only able to win because of his speed. They suddenly hear a wolf, thinking they're in trouble, so Rue tells Mio to prepare the crossbow they made. We see a wolf pack running in the field, eating the monsters they encounter, as Rue's group observes them, thinking it's time to test their new powers. Mio uses the crossbow to fire a poison bolt, and she hits the leader of the pack, so they scramble, as Rue and Kichi charge in, slaughtering them with ease. The leader gets back up, so Rue prepares to take him on, but he suddenly collapses because of his injury. Rue eats the leader, allowing him to gain new abilities, and he realizes that he has gained a leadership skill, so he decides to try it. He returns to the goblins, telling them to eat the wolves, but he tells them to catch the same amount of prey in the future. They know they aren't strong enough to do this, so they beg him to teach them how to hunt, and he agrees to this, saying he'll show them how it's done. So they start praising him, but he tells them to get up, saying they're all comrades, and they're moved by his words, so they decide to follow him, thinking he's amazing. A few days later, they realize that the humans have taken their own lives, so Rue holds a memorial for them, thinking they did it because they lost hope. Rue trains the goblins, and we learn that he's been eating monsters during the past few days, so he has acquired countless abilities. He sees a group approaching, thinking they're a threat, so he prepares to take them on, but Gabu stops him, telling him they're from the previous generation. Gabu welcomes them, and we see that they brought humans with them, planning to use them to create the next generation. But Rue is against this, so he approaches the leader named Ken, saying he wants to look after the humans. But Ken becomes upset, and he looks down on Rue, calling him a newborn, so everyone prepares to fight. But the girls named Sei and Sato arrive, telling them to settle down, because nobody wants to get involved in a civil war. Sato suggests having Ken and Rue fight, to determine who's going to be the leader of the village, but they aren't allowed to use weapons, and they agree to this, but Ken ends up losing in an instant. Rue explains that his strings don't count as weapons, because his body can produce them, and he tells everyone that he's the new leader of the village, but Ken's men aren't happy to hear this. He takes the humans to the storage area, telling them they're going to be safe there, because he ordered the goblins not to touch them. He promises to return them to a human village, but a girl named Rebellia asks him what he wants from them, so he tells them to share their knowledge. They reveal that they were part of a traveling business, but Ken's group attacked them, killing the men protecting them and taking them away. So they start crying, but Rue walks away, giving them space to grieve. 2 days later, Rue gives the humans food, but he realizes that they have already moved on, and he observes them as they eat, realizing that they're nothing like goblins because they don't evolve. But they have jobs which make each of them unique, and he already knows what they do for a living, revealing that Rebellia is a rookie warrior, so he thinks about letting her train with the goblins. We see the goblins training, but Ken's men are struggling, so Rue starts trash-talking them, but they become upset, so he beats them up, reminding them that he's the boss. One evening, Rue is about to go to sleep, but he senses danger, and we see Ken with his men, as they're about to force themselves on the humans. But Rue stops them, reminding them that they aren't allowed to touch the humans. Ken refuses to cooperate, so Rue knocks him down, and he tells the humans that everything's going to be okay. Mio and Kichi arrive, so Rue orders them to drag Ken and his men outside, and tell everyone to gather, because he wants them to see what he's about to do. We see everyone watching, as Rue tortures Ken, beating him to a bloody pulp, and Rue tells them this is the punishment for breaking the rules.